Great. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I hope all of you are doing good. Give me a quick yes or a no, or maybe send me the name of the city that you're joining from in the chat window so I know you're able to hear me clearly and we are good to begin. Great. I already see some responses coming in. Once again, I wish you a very good Thursday afternoon. Hope you've had a great week so far and waiting for the weekend, which has something interesting planned for all of you. Well, my name is Vivek. I am a learning and organization development consultant. I have worked with various organizations, and my primary focus is leadership and behavioral trainings as a facilitator, right? And I work with SkillUpRight, and I'm happy to be here taking you through this particular title, which is very close to my heart because I think this is what makes a great leader, decision making, right? And it helps all of us to a large degree in our day to day life. So, we are going to focus on decision making primarily, and we're going to look at it from the lens of thinking clearly in today's world where there is a lot of information, lot of noise, lot of urgency, and lot of opinions which are available absolutely free of cost and everywhere, right? And you're still expected to make better decisions faster. And that's why this particular topic. So we're going to cut through all that noise. We're going to deviate from all the distractions and the mental clutter to make quick and clear decisions. And that's what this webinar will help you achieve. Okay, now this is not a complex framework that we're going to discuss. I've made this particular session very simple for all of us. The focus is to take those everyday decisions quickly, fast, and by asking some key questions. So, we're going to look at a framework which helps us do that, a simple framework. Now, the whole webinar has a lot of interaction, but of course, you would only be able to respond to my questions or the polls that I have for you or the reflection activity that I have for you on the chat window as you're not able to unmute yourself. So do participate. That is my sincere and humble request. Do participate, try to answer the questions, reflect when those reflective questions come, and also apply what we are talking about. And that's what's going to help you take the most from this particular session. Okay, now give me some hearts if you are ready to go ahead and take a look at the agenda. And I see people are joining us from not just India, from outside India as well. And that's amazing. Thank you so much. Welcome and happy good morning or good evening to you, depending on where you're joining from. Perfect. So let's take a look at what we are going to cover. So we are going to understand what effective decision making really means in today's fast-paced environment, right? It's not just choosing, it's more than that, and we're going to explore that. Then we will identify some of the common thinking traps that impact our judgment and decision making. Finally, we will take a look at a simple framework. Of course, we'll overview some of the other frameworks which exist out there, but we will focus on a simple framework which is easy to use at an individual level on a day-to-day basis, right? To make clearer, more confident decisions under pressure. Perfect. So with that, let's go ahead and let's first try to understand what is decision making, really. Okay, Jashri says my voice is echoing. Is that the case with the rest of you as well? Give me a yes or a no. Okay, all right, got it. So, folks, if you're facing any challenges with my voice, try to maybe use headphones or try to rejoin the webinar. I'm sure it would get fixed. As I see, most of the folks are not facing that challenge. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead. What does decision making really mean? Right now, decision making is not just about making or rather choosing an option out of the options that are present to you. It's more than that. It's deeper than that, right? So, first of all, it's about assessing the situation And for that, you need to understand the context of the situation. You need to understand what's at stake in that situation. And then you need to look at what are the trade-offs. If I select this, what am I giving away? If I let this go, what am I getting in return? So it's a lot about weighing those trade-offs in terms of what you're getting and what you're losing. Because every situation comes with different factors involved, every choice comes with different factors involved, and that has different trade-off values to it, right? And then, of course, it's about choosing intentionally because we cannot just continue to choose based on a lot of different traps that exist, external factors that exist, because that does not work for us in the long run. And finally, it's a lot to do with taking the responsibility of the outcome. Doesn't matter what the outcome is. If you've chosen something, if you've made a decision, you stick with it. Of course, you modify, you improvise your decision, you work with agility and work on changing things as and when they come, but then you stick to, or rather, you stand by what the outcome is and you take responsibility of it, right? And that's what we mean by that last point. Now, when it comes to decision making, we make decisions in day-to-day life. Let it be work, let it be our personal life. And we're not talking about some big decisions, right? We're talking about small to all kind of decisions that we make. An example of this would be, let's say, how to respond to a particular email. What kind of tone should you select, right? Should you push back or agree for something? It's about deciding whether you should say yes or no to taking on new responsibility at workplace. It's about deciding which phone to buy, considering maybe your financial situation that you're in. It's about choosing your next investment, right? It's about doing what your parents might be asking you to do, or your spouse may be asking you to do, and deciding whether you want to do that or not. It could be about your friends going on a trip and you deciding whether you want to join them or not, right? So we have to decide maybe hundreds, if not tens of times every day, correct? And it's important because every decision is like a bet on the future. And based on the information and the mindset that you have in that moment, you're placing that bet. And that's why it's important to make sure that you clear the clutter, get rid of the noise, so that your decision making is more like a skill, a capability, right? And that's what it is. It's a skill. It's not a personality trait, not something that you were born with. You can develop it. Perfect. So that's what we're going to focus on. That's what decision making means. Now, I have a quick reflective question for you. You don't really have to answer this question in the chat window or don't have to share this answer here, but think about your last decision that you made today. And it could be anything small. It could be about just joining this session itself. Was it a conscious decision or an automatic one? You can send me the responses in the chat window if you choose to, but it's your choice. Yeah, so I see a few of you saying a conscious, a lot of you saying conscious, and a couple of you said auto. Very good. I'm happy to see that a lot of conscious decisions are being made, and that is amazing. I do see a few responses coming as automatic, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, we are in this world, in this environment where there are so many external factors, external forces that exist, which, kind of make us make these automatic decisions. Not every time we might be able to consciously choose something, and a lot has to do with our own biases, the pressure that you have from outside world, and a lot of other factors that go into it, right? So a lot of times, a lot of decisions are not strategic. They are micro decisions made repeatedly, often without thinking, because of some of the biases that exist, because of these external forces that I just mentioned. And we're going to explore some of these, right? Perfect. Great. Let's go ahead and let's talk about why decision making matters, why it is important. Number one point is decision making is equal to leadership skills. I know that all of us do need to make decisions in our daily life, but then the the stronger you become with this particular skill, with this capability, the better you would be able to choose your own success, your own growth, and the better you would show up as a leader among the people you work with, right? Or among the people around you. Now, if you have to think about any leader, think of any leader that you admire at your workplace, in your personal life, any political leader or anyone out there who you really admire as a leader. Think about them and quickly think about what is their decision making like. Yeah. And the answer would be it's strong, it's bold, they make decisions with clarity, and under pressure, they're able to make some of these decisions while staying calm. They know there are risks attached to these decisions, but they're still able to make these strong decisions and stand up to them, right? And they take accountability after the decision, whatever the outcome may be. And that's what decision making is as a skill. It develops you as a great leader. If you continue to depend on others to tell you what needs to be done, right? Let's say it's a phone that you want to buy, and then every time you depend on this one friend who's a geek and you just buy what he or she asks you to buy, maybe you're not really, developing your decision making skill. You need to see some things through your own eyes, isn't it? And that's just a simple example. Apply that everywhere, and it holds true everywhere, right? Okay, now when it comes to again these leaders, right? People around the leaders, and again, that's how all these leaders do become the leaders they are. People trust these leaders because they can stay calm and clear when things are uncertain, under ambiguity. They take ownership, they don't avoid decision making, and that is why decision making is equal to leadership skills. Yep. Give me a heart if you agree with this. Yeah. A lot of these moments of choice decide whether you are a true leader or not. It's not just about your position, right? It could be about handling a particular conflict, stepping in. It could be about prioritizing teamwork. It could be about a family matter that you're trying to solve by making decisions. And a lot of that happens because of the initiative that you take, right? And that's what decision making does. Number two, why does it matter? Because decision making helps you become or develop growth mindset. So there are two kind of mindsets, fixed mindset and growth mindset. You might have come across this earlier. With fixed mindset, you stay away from challenges because you're afraid of failures. And when something goes wrong, or even if something good happens to you give the credit or the blame to external factors. An example of this would be, let's say you got a new job, right? You were working towards changing this job, or you got a promotion and you worked towards it. But when the promotion actually comes, a lot of times we give credit to a lot of other people that, hey, it happened because of my boss and I was lucky, right place, right time, and thank God. So a lot of times we give credit to these external factors, even if something good happens. And that's fixed mindset, right? Growth mindset is you put in the effort. You did work on getting that done, and that's why you are where you are. It's about the homework that you do, the work that you put in, and the results that you reap later, right? So decision making helps you develop that growth mindset because you are analyzing things on your own. You're looking at mistakes as feedback, not failure. You're not running away from the challenges. You are looking at them as opportunities to learn, right? Because you want to develop that decision making as a skill. And then you learn faster because you reflect on the outcomes, you reflect on what you did, what happened because of that, and you learn faster. You avoid paralysis caused by fear of being wrong, and that comes from, of course, fixed mindset. So if I have to maybe use a quote to talk about decision making and growth mindset, good decision makers don't avoid mistakes, they learn faster from them, right? And that's what it's about. So number two is decision making goes hand in hand with growth mindset. You develop it. And the third one, and the last one, of course, there are many more, but these are the three key ones, In today's world, which is fast paced, full of ambiguity, full of instructions, or rather information overload that we're looking at, but fewer clear instructions and very fast timelines. You're supposed to finish something already yesterday, right? Or you were supposed to take a decision just yesterday instead of today. And that's how the world is. So clarity is becoming more valuable than certainty. And that's why a strong decision making skill helps you get that clarity and stand out, right? And be able to navigate today's world. Now, when you do this, of course, you're able to handle the stress as well, and you're able to decide, make decisions with quality impact. And your confidence increases, your credibility increases, right? We can also talk about hybrid work that we all are mostly in. Uh, and again, given the kind of world we are in, there is less guidance, more autonomy, and that's why we need to develop decision making as a skill. Perfect. So those were some of the key points why we need to develop this, why we are talking about decision making here today. With that, I have a question for you. What stops you from making decisions confidently out of these four, right? And consider all kind of situations that you face on a regular basis. Number one, fear of being wrong. B, too much information. C, time pressure. And D, people expectations. And you can send your response in the chat window. A, B, C, D is good enough. You don't have to type the whole thing. I see A quite a few times. I do see B, C, as well as D, right? But I see a lot of A, and that is true. There is nothing wrong with that. That's what we all kind of struggle with. These are the external factors which put us down. But what can even go wrong, right? Let's say you make a decision and you stand by it, you will learn out of it. People will say things, they will forget tomorrow. That's how it works, right? And that's why we need to explore this as a skill, develop this as a capability. And I have a framework for you that we're going to take a look at in some time. Too much information, of course. We are living in the world of Instagram, TikTok. You have all kind of micro information platforms, and everyone's talking about everything. There are narratives about everything. Yesterday you thought that honesty is a good policy, but today someone is saying no, honesty is not a good policy, right? So everything has a different narrative, and there is just so much information overload that we don't know what to believe in anymore. Time pressure. Time pressure, yes, all of us have so much to deal with. There is work to take care of, there is family to take care of. Then you have to, try to build your own future by maybe investing at places, saving money. You also need to go out with friends. There's just so much to do. So there is time pressure, and there is people expectations. People around you expect you to be a certain way. Your family expects you to choose a certain things. The same goes with your friends, peer pressure, colleagues, peer pressure, right? Perfect. So let's explore this further. And now we are going to talk about a little bit about the kind of decisions that we make. This is just to get the perspective of where we stand when it comes to decision making, and then we will look at some of the traps that we usually have in common. All right, so decisions we make every day and their impact. Let's talk about work first. So at work, these are a few type of decisions that you need to make almost every day, every minute, every hour. How to prioritize tasks, right? Every time someone reaches out to you with a new thing, you need to think about it again. Should I pick this up or continue to work on what I was doing? Whether to speak up or stay silent. You did see a challenge, you noticed some sort of a issue with the process, but should you mention that in the team meeting or not? What will the people say? What will your boss say? Right? So a lot of decisions you make on that front as well. How to handle conflict. There is some tension between you and another colleague, or maybe with your boss or with your junior. What do you do about it, right? Do you go talk to this person, try to resolve the conflict, or you just let it be? Correct. So that's another decision to make. When to push back versus when to just comply. When should you say no to the work that's coming to you, requests that are coming to you, and when should you just be okay with picking it up, right? So a lot of decisions that we make, these are of course some large categories, but there are thousands of other decisions that we make, right? Now, what is the impact of the decisions in case you have not developed this as a skill, and your decision making is, we can say poor, right? So if that's the case, if decisions are handled poorly, you will definitely see that stress and burnout, because you're not able to say no. You will continue to say yes to more work coming in, and you will not be able to complete the current work that you were doing. And that's what's going to, give you burnout and stress, because you're just working 16 hours. Loss of credibility when you're not able to complete your tasks because there is overload of that, because maybe the decision that you made was not really thought through, right? The credibility is at stake, your reputation is at stake. And the same goes for the opportunities. Now, on the previous slide we answered this particular question with fear of being wrong. Let's say there is an opportunity that comes your way, or rather, it's there in the team, where you need to lead a new task, a new project that's coming through, and you also need to present to a set of clients, right? Now, you may be fearful of going wrong somewhere, may be fearful of failure and people pointing that out, right? That impacting your reputation, and you might say, no, I don't want to do it, right? But if you look at it as an opportunity and decide that you want to do it, that's when you will be able to grab that opportunity and learn from it, correct? And that's why decision making also, poor decision making can lead to missed opportunities. Let's take a look at the personal side of things. Of course, we are talking about skills which are used everywhere, at work, in personal life. Now, in personal life, you have to choose about your career, right? Whether you should apply for a promotion that's coming your way. Maybe you have been in your role for a very long time. Should you stick to the same company or not? AI is disrupting a lot. There is a lot of downsizing happening across the industry. What do you do about that? Do you try to learn a new skill, or should you stick to what you're doing currently, right? So that's another decision to make. A lot of decisions on that front. Financial choices. Should you save some money every month and put that in an FD, or should you choose a mutual fund, or should you pick gold? There are so many decisions to make on that front as well. Should you buy a house or not? Correct. Health and lifestyle decisions. And I think this is something that all of us kind of struggle with on a daily basis, because stress also correlates directly with this, right? Should you eat that pastry today? Should you eat pizza or burger today because you just feel like you have that craving? Or because you're focusing on your health, and you believe your health is important, you want to stay fit, you want to have a long healthy life, should you say no to that and eat something healthier? Correct. Should you try to cook at home, or should you just order from Zomato or Swiggy? So all of these decisions need to be made in personal life as well on a daily basis. Relationship boundaries with your family, with your spouse, with your kids. Should you draw some boundaries in terms of what they're asking you to do and what you should or should not do, right? Let's say you're in the age when your parents are pushing you to get married, but no, you don't want to get married right now. You want to maybe focus on just one more thing, which you will be able to take care of in 2 years, and then you want to look at it. What kind of marriage do you want? Love marriage, arranged marriage? That's another decision to make, which your family may be pushing you to, right? Maybe your spouse is pushing you to move to a new house or buy a new car. There could be a lot of these, decisions that you make on that front as well. So should you draw the boundaries or not? That's another decision that you need to make, isn't it? So it does not come easy. And when it comes to impact of these personal decisions, these decisions may be small, but they compound into large outcomes later, right? In terms of your career, in terms of your health, in terms of your overall confidence as a person, your self-esteem, right? And just the peace of mind with the boundaries in the relationship and with how those relationships are going. Correct? So now the point is that we don't need to rise to our goals, we fall to our decision habits. And that's where we need to focus on. That's what we need to try to fix. Okay, I'll pause here. Let me know if things are making sense. Give me your hearts if you all agree with these some of these points that we discussed just now. That's a very good thought, Anirudh. Make a decision, stand by it. People have short-term memories as long as we learn from it. Absolutely, right? And there are so many examples out there about this, right? People have chosen things and done things which were looked down upon. People were boycotted for things that they've done because they wanted success, a view of success that they had in their mind, and they got it. And after that, people are absolutely okay with it. Yeah, perfect. So let's go ahead. I have another quick reflection question for you. This is for you to just try to understand how would decision making impact how you look at things, right? So which area of your life would improve the most if your decisions were 10% better? And as I said, it's not about getting it right every time. It's a process that we learn through. It's not that you will get all 100% decisions absolutely bang on all the time. It's about getting better. It's about reflecting. It's about learning. It's about thinking and moving ahead, right? So take 30 seconds, think about it. You don't have to really answer this question. Vinu, thank you for sharing that personal, but try to get a bit more, narrow it down further. So when it comes to personal, are you talking about career? Are you talking about your financial situation? Are you talking about your family? Right? So try to think from that lens. Try to narrow it down so it's much more reflective for you. Absolutely. That's a great point, Shivali. Sleep is important. Yeah, do think about your work life as well, right? So if you're able to make better decisions, would that help you grab that next promotion? Would that give you better visibility in your team, right? Would that make you a person who people are not just pushing over? So think about your work life as well. Perfect. Some great thoughts coming through. And again, this is all reflective. Aim is not to make you perfect. It's about making you think and decide better, right? So let's go ahead. And now we're going to talk about the thinking traps that exist. These are some common thinking traps. Uh, so let's talk about these. Okay, now number one, urgency trap. And I'm sure all of us deal with this on a regular basis, right? When people say this needs to be decided now, this needs to be done now, when there is a lot of pressure, which just is not letting you get clarity, and there is a lot of short-term relief that is expected instead of, a long-term thing that works. Of course, it ends in long-term regret when for that short-term relief, a decision is made quickly. So that's number one, right? Urgency trap. So if we have to talk about this, let's say an email that you need to respond to immediately, correct? Maybe something that you need to get an approval for or give an approval for quickly. Yeah, maybe someone from your family is reaching out to you asking some questions and they're like, I need it right now, but maybe it could wait, correct? So what we need to do in this case is because everything around you, everyone around you considers whatever they need to get done as urgent for them. Yeah. But then that might not be the case for you. And that is where you need to ask yourself this particular question to create that pause, to give yourself time to think so that you get clarity, right? You need to ask yourself, what if I waited a little? Yeah. And of course, let's say there was a last minute escalation and you have to immediately respond to it. Let's say there is an escalation that came in just yesterday or rather this morning, and your boss is like, I want you to respond to it in 30 minutes, next 30 minutes, but you feel you need more clarity before responding, right? So what's going to happen if you respond within 30 minutes? Maybe you will respond with half baked information and it will escalate further. But if you ignore your boss's instructions for 30 more minutes, because that will give you enough time to gather information that you require, and you respond after 1 hour. You have taken care of the escalation, and you can just tell your boss that, hey, information gathering and analysis took 30 minutes extra, but it's all handled now, right? So that sorry is better than actually escalating that matter further. And that's where we need to ask ourselves this question, especially when there is that urgency factor coming into picture. What will happen if I delay this by a short time? Right? Ask yourself that question every time. Perfect. Let's move on to the second trap, which is the emotions trap. So, a lot of times, our own emotions do not help us decide better. A lot of times, we have bias towards things. A lot of times, we choose things because everyone else is kind of doing it, right? A lot of times, we have that fear of missing out, and that's a big emotion that all of us deal with, right? Fear of missing out. A lot of times, our ego does not let us choose a few things. Frustration may make you choose things in a hurry. So, all of these emotions play a role in making you decide something which may not be right, correct? So, when it comes to this, you need to ask yourself, you need to try to detach by imagining in this particular situation, what would you advise to someone else, right? So you need to kind of take a pause when you feel the emotions are driving that decision making, and tell yourself, hey, if it was my closest friend, my best friend who I was advising to in this particular situation, what will I tell them to do? Right? And when you do that, you have detached yourself from your emotions, because you're talking about your friend. Yeah, you're talking about someone else who you care for. Okay, so that's a trick, that's a technique to work on this particular thinking trap of emotions. And let's take a look at the third one with that. So now we're talking about overthinking trap, right? A lot of times we end up analyzing too much. We take just a lot of time before moving ahead, and that analysis turns into paralysis, right? So here, highlighting the difference between thinking and avoiding is important, right? Maybe we are overanalyzing because we are dreading making that decision, correct? So that's something that you need to try to identify in that situation. And it's not necessary that more information is better decision making. No, timing also matters, right? It's about momentum of decision making, not too fast, not too slow, not avoiding, on time as it works for you, right? But not really over analyzing. An example of this would be, let's say you just want to invest in gold, correct? And maybe you're just trying to figure out getting more information from people, right? Or let's say maybe you're just trying to apply for a particular role within the organization, and you want to gather more review from people. It could be about buying a particular product on Amazon. You want to gather review from all over, and you want to explore everything, but maybe by then the prices would have gone up or something else would have happened. So over analyzing also paralyzes you from decision making, right? So focus on momentum over perfection. Now, a question that you can ask yourself to help you with this thinking trap is, what is the minimum information I need to decide? Okay, maybe make a list of 3 to 4 points, 5 points at the max. And once you have that information, you can make your decision. And that's how you can work with this particular trap of overthinking. Now, the fourth one, we are looking at people pleaser trap. So for the folks who are from India and the northern part of India particularly, this particular thinking trap is all about char log kya kahenge, right? And in English, the translation is, what will people say if I choose something? Yeah. So what will other things? What will others think? Decisions driven by approval, not intent. And we all understand how we have made these decisions all throughout our life, right? Go back to the time when you finished your school and you had to decide what subjects to take in college. What did you choose? Whatever your peers were choosing, or whatever your parents told you, correct? After college, the job that you chose, you tried to get into things with your friends, a lot of peer pressure. Even at the office, lunch decisions that you make. or outing decisions that you make with your colleagues. A lot of pressure, peer pressure there as well. Things that you have to say or agree to in a meeting. A lot of peer pressure of whether I should say a no, go against everyone else, share my opinion truly or not, right? Of course, that's a decision that you need to make based on the kind of environment it is. But yes, the peer pressure impacts a lot of this decision making. Okay. And it impacts the clarity, it impacts what you want to get out of that decision, correct? And that's why you need to ask yourself, is this aligned with my role and responsibility? Is this aligned with what I want, right? Is this aligned with what I see as success or the outcome that I want to see? Okay. And that's how this will help you. Now, I did not mention this at the beginning of the session. We are not really able to share decks with you because attaching a file is very difficult on the chat window. There are some technical issues that we faced earlier as well. But I will share some of these key screenshots that you need to, that will come in handy, right? I'll put them in the chat window as we go, and you will be able to access them. Perfect. So let's go ahead. Let's answer another question. Which trap do you fall into the most often? Urgency, emotion, overthinking, or peer pressure? You can answer with A, B, C, D. I see an array of C immediately coming through, overthinking, and then a few A's. Yeah, B and C as well. I'm happy to see very less D's, and that's brilliant, right? At least we have taken care of the peer pressure there. But yes, a lot of a lot of other thinking traps do impact our decision making. So it's a reflective question for you to think about, and now you know what kind of question you need to ask yourself when you're making a decision and you feel this particular thinking trap is impacting your decision, right? Let's go ahead. Let's take a look at some of the popular decision-making models. We're just going to take a look at the overview of these because, these are useful in certain situations with certain kind of decision-making. But we will then later look at a very simple, easy to use model for us, which we can use at a personal level, right? Okay, so the number one is a pros and cons matrix. This is a simple comparison matrix model that you can use when you have to choose between two things. Let's say at workplace, you work with procurement or, in your team, you need to decide which vendor to select. Yeah. Maybe you need to decide which venue to go to for a meeting or a training or an outing for the team. In personal life, you need to decide which car to buy or which phone to buy or, which city to move to, what job or role to move into next, what skills to develop next. So all of these questions can be answered through pros and cons matrix. What certification to pick up next, right? So do this for that comparison. Then we have something called an OODA loop, which is used quite extensively in project management programs, right? So OODA is all about observing, orienting, deciding, and acting. And it is best suited for fast changing situations. And it helps, it comes in really handy in organizations which are going through a transformation. So an example of this would be in crisis, how do you respond? Correct. So you can use OODA to really decide how do you go about crisis response. So you can of course refer to these more on Google, read about them. Let's take a look at the next one with that. There's something called cost benefit analysis, which is quite logical and number based in terms of decision making model. So for all the options that you're choosing or options that you need to decide between, you do a cost and benefit analysis. What's the cost of it? What is the benefit that you're going to get out of it? Right. So it is best for anything where finances are involved or resources need to be considered. Correct. An example of this would be at workplace hiring versus outsourcing, correct? And let's say in your personal life, you might want to consider whether I should cook myself or I should hire a maid, correct? Because that save time, I will be able to invest in maybe creating more value for myself. And in the down, in the down, uh, time ahead, I will be able to make more money, correct? So you need to do that cost benefit analysis while making these decisions in personal life as well. Then comes SWOT analysis, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And as you can see, uh, strengths is helpful quadrant and internal. You've got control on strengths, and then you have got weaknesses, which you have control on. It's internal, but it's harmful, correct? And then you've got opportunities, which are external but helpful, and then you have threats, which are external and harmful. An example of this, let's say, would be when you want to change your role or you are planning a project, right? So you think about what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, the opportunities that you see in that moment, and the threats that kind of exist, correct? When you're choosing which organization to join, correct? When you're choosing maybe what kind of role I want to get into next. So SWOT analysis really helps you make decision with that. Moving on to the last type, the fifth one, it's called six thinking hats. This is more for a group kind of a setup to make decision. It's good for brainstorming sessions because you're looking at six ways of asking questions while brainstorming, while thinking creatively, right? So you're focusing on facts, you're focusing on feelings, processes, creativity, cautions, and benefits by putting different hats and by focusing on those aspects of the decisions and the options that exist, right? Now, when we talk about all of these five, they are useful in certain situations, but not very practical when it comes to daily use. And for that, I have something called a clear model for you, which is a 5 step simple model which you can use for daily clutter-free decision making. So let's quickly go through this. C stands for context. Now, what are we trying to figure out when it comes to context? And you can apply this for any kind of decision making, from simple decision to whether I should eat a burger now or should I eat something else, as compared to whether I should, try to now move out of my current organization, or whether I should pick a new certification, whether I should get married now or not. So it can be applied to everything. So, context. What is really happening here? You need to ask yourself that. What is it that is going on in this particular situation? And what decision am I actually making? And we will understand this through an example to understand this better. Because a lot of times it's not just about just saying yes or no to something, it's about the underlying hidden actual objectives that you're trying to achieve through the context, right? For example, uh, when you're trying to make a decision to pick up a new certification, it's not just about picking a new certification, it's about what skills are you trying to develop and why are you trying to develop that particular skill? Are you trying to make a role change, or you're trying to just pick up new skills because you want to be ready for the uncertain future that we're dealing with, right? So that's what context is about, where you need to try to ask yourself, what is the actual reason why I need to decide something here? Okay. Levers. Levers is all about factors that matter most, right? It's about those external and internal factors that you can either control or not control. So you look at all the factors that impact that decision making and you figure out which ones are in your control and which ones are not in your control. And that's what L stands for, levers, right? So you ask yourself these questions. The next question that you ask is about your emotions. You check your emotions, right? So you ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Is any particular emotion driving this decision? Am I frustrated right now? Do I fear for my situation, or fear of missing out? And is that what's driving my decision? Right? So let's say if I do not join my friends for a trip because I don't have the budget for it right now, is that FOMO driving it? And I will then end up just spending all that money, maybe which I need for something else important, right? So that's what you need to ask yourself when it comes to emotion check. And then comes the action. Now, action is all about what is the best next step. Correct? So you decide that and then you move forward. Okay? So this quick 4 steps, they help you take that action. But it does not end there, it does not stop there. Later, after you've made the decision, after you've seen the outcome or the result of that decision that you made, you review it. You look at what worked, what would you change the next time you are in the similar situation when you have to make a decision, correct? And that's how you improve your decision making as a skill. So let's take an example to understand this better. Imagine there is a girl called Ria. She is, and this is the workplace example, but applies to everything else as well, right? So Ria is a high performing team member and she is already managing a lot of deliverables. She has a lot of tasks which are assigned to her. She's taking care of a lot of these things and quite busy. Now, her manager asks her to take ownership of an additional cross functional initiative. She needs to work with another team because this will give her that visibility and it will also have that high impact in her performance, right? But of course, time consumption is a factor because she is already busy. Now, she needs to decide whether she needs to accept the responsibility that's coming her way or push back or try to negotiate the scope and the timeline and the other responsibilities that she's taking care of, right? So that's what the decision is that she needs to make on the surface level. Now let's apply clear to this. This is for our understanding of application. So when you apply C context, she will ask herself, what decision am I really making? It's not whether she should say yes or no to this new task that's coming through, right? But the actual decision is, how do I balance visibility, workload, and sustainability, right? How do I get that visibility because that's going to help me? How do I manage my current workload and sustain through this, right? Still maintain some balance and not just continue to work 20 hours because I'm taking on something new, right? So that's the real decision that she needs to make because the focus is capacity and long term effectiveness and not just willingness. Yeah. Then comes levers. So she's going to ask herself, what factors matter most? What can I control? So, key levers in this case could be current workload and deadlines that she's working on, visibility and learning opportunity that the new task cross functional assignment is going to get her, and the support resources that are available currently within her team, outside her team. So she needs to understand those better, right? Those are some factors there. And of course, timeline flexibility. Correct? So these are some of the factors. Now, what is in Riyadh's control? Scope, expectations, and communication. She can definitely talk about the scope of the assignment, the expectations which are from her, and try to negotiate a little bit on that front, and the communication, how she communicates with these different stakeholders, right? But what's not in her control is business priority of the initiative, because what they will ask her to do in terms of achieving as an outcome, that's not in her control. Correct? So this helps you get a view of what you can control, what you cannot control, and what are the various factors that are involved here that you need to consider. Then you move on to the third check, which is emotion check, third step. So Ria is going to ask herself, what am I feeling right now? She's excited about the visibility. She has the fear of missing out. There could be some anxiety about the burnout that additional responsibility will cause. And there could be that, you know, that a hint of pleasing the people instinct that's coming into picture because the boss has reached out and how can I say no to the boss, correct? So all of these emotions could be playing a role in this situation. So when Ria asks herself this question, she would be able to identify that emotion. It's not that that emotion is going to drive the decision making, but the more informed Ria is, and in this case, of course, in our case, all of us are with our emotions, the better decisions we are able to make. Yeah. And then comes the action. Now, what is the next best step? She asks herself that. And she decides that instead of immediately saying yes or no, I want to have a clear conversation with my manager and discuss the scope of this new project, discuss the priorities, support that I will get or support I can expect, right? And timelines. And then see if I can trade off some of these things, right? Timelines, can I increase the timeline of some of the other projects? Can I trade off some of the support on the current tasks and projects that I'm handling? Correct. So when Ria decides to have this clear conversation, instead of just saying yes or no, she's able to make a better decision after all this clarity. Yeah. Perfect. And of course, after all of this, Ria will go back and check what did I learn from this decision-making process, right? She would see that, okay, some of the things that I thought went really well. But yeah, something that I learned is, of course, getting clarity is important. And I could have gotten into a situation where I'm just not able to handle things. And, that would impact my reputation. So, well, clear, it's not about helping you choose faster. It's about helping you choose better, right? So it's a balance of both. You are able to still maintain that pace because it's not too much of work to do when it comes to clear, but you're able to choose better. Okay. I'll pause here. Let me know if it makes sense. Give me some thumbs up. Sudhir, the deck must be maximum itself. Maybe you might want to close the chat window, etc. So it just takes the entire screen. Perfect. Love the response that's coming through. Brilliant. Thumbs that went up, and I saw a lot of hearts as well. So, well, I'm going to share these in the chat window. But yes, let's quickly move towards the end of the session. So, apply clear. Think about this. It's an application task for you. Take 1 minute to think about this. Apply clear to one real decision you are currently facing. Ask yourself those four questions and try to see how it helps you make that decision. So I'm sharing it in the chat window. While you think about this task, take a minute to see if it helps you decide better. And while you do this, I'm going to share some of the other screenshots with you. Okay, it's helpful from this slide onwards. Perfect. So I've shared all the important slides with you, which you can refer to. And of course, as Vinod also shared this link to YouTube channel where you can go back and refer to the webinars that you're attending with SkillUpRight. So that's also something that you can always go back to and check. So yes, how did it go? You don't have to really respond to what decision you were working with, applying clear to, but did it make sense? Were you able to better, get some more clarity and remove some of the noise and clutter when you asked yourself clear questions? Just send yes or no in the chat window, please. Perfect. I'm happy to see a lot of yeses coming through. That's amazing. And as I said, clear, something simple that you can just pick and use in any kind of situation. Take a few seconds to quickly ask yourself those questions, and you are good to make a better decision. You don't have to get into an analysis paralysis. You can still move quickly with it, but a more clear and informed decision is what you will make, right? Perfect. So let's go ahead. Let's quickly take a look at some of the key takeaways from today's session. So, thoughtful decisions create powerful outcomes, right? And all of us agree with this already. Now, what we explored today is a decision making. That decision making is a skill, it's not a personality trait. You can develop it, it's like a muscle. Most mistakes come from reactions and not intention. And all of those reactions could be because of those thinking traps that we explored. So ask yourself questions, reflect more, and you will be able to support, rather, get better with those thinking traps, right? And make more informed decisions. Simple frameworks create clarity in noisy moments. And of course, we're talking about clear as a framework. And with that, we have come to an end of the session. I would like to leave you with one more task, which you can continue to work on over the weekend, tomorrow, and Saturday, Sunday. What is one decision this week where you will pause, think clearly, and choose intentionally? And pick something which really matters, something a little bigger, not a regular hustle kind of a decision that you need to make, and try to apply clear and see how it really helps you. Yeah. Manoj says I'm gonna have clear desk. Yep, deck pasted in my workplace. That's brilliant. That framework will really help you, as a reminder. And you can always ask yourself this question every time there's a decision that needs to be made. Perfect. So that was it. That was the end of the session, folks. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you felt it was useful. You found it useful and you're taking away something uh, that helps you, right, in future. Thank you so much for being so interactive. Amazing responses in the chat window, and I never had to ask you to, ask you twice to send me thumbs up and hearts and all that. So brilliant. I enjoyed it. Have a great rest of the day and see you in another session sometime. Bye, everyone.